What's up, everybody? Aloha to welcome to the Coconut Wireless. It is Thursday, May 15th. Let's go.
Kauai voters will be selecting a new mayor next year, and today a very familiar face is throwing his hat in the ring. Former Mayor Bernard Carvalho wants his old job back, and he's set to make an official announcement at the Kauai War Memorial Convention Hall in about half an hour. Carvalho is currently on the county council, but served as mayor from 2008 to 2018. Also considering a run is Council Chair Mel Raposo, who has been a longtime public servant on the Garden Aisle. He last ran for mayor in 2018 and lost to Derek Kawakami, who is terming out. Earlier this month, Raposo launched an exploratory committee for a potential mayoral campaign, but says he intends to jump into the race.
All right. Sorry for the poor quality of the. That was from my phone. I had to record them off of the TV. But yeah, I just figured, what the hell? Um, cat's out of the bag, Charles. The cat's out of the bag.
Well, it's always good to give a run at it if that's your heart desire. And we've talked about this before, but like I said, yeah, we make commitments, we go for it, we announce it, and we do it. And whatever the good Lord has in store, He'll make the way. Right?
Yeah, I debated this for a while and sent out a press release a couple of months ago, last month, talking about an exploratory committee looking at the just all the aspects of a mayoral run and the media didn't pick up on that one. They did pick it up after Bernard made an announcement. And let me just say real quick, I want to get this out from the beginning. Bernard and I are best of friends. I love this guy like a brother. We have When he was the mayor and I was the council chair, we had our battles, but we always was professional. And in the short time that I've been working with him on the county council, I think the relationship has gotten stronger. So, the question is, why would the two of you run against each other? Well, simply put, the two of us uh, want to be mayor. I mean, that's the simple answer. And, I realizing that we share a lot of supporters. Bernard and I share a lot of same supporters. Um, I think we've both been approached and asked, why you guys don't work together? Why you guys got to do this? You guys putting a lot of people in a tough spot, and that's obviously not the intent, right? Um, I believe I have some value as the mayor, and so does he. So we shook hands, made a best man win, and we'll leave it at that. I mean, I think it's a lot of people are confused, you know, but it is what it is, Charles. It is what it is. I think it's this county is so important and precious to many of us, and when you have opportunities to make it better, you take that opportunity. So that's kind of where we're at right now. People say, "Man, is
Well,
it awkward? Is it awkward that you and him on the council?" Absolutely not. Absolutely not. The relationship isn't going to change, um, and it'll be fine. We'll work fine for the rest of this term, and it'll be fine.
I will say I've been getting a lot of text, emails, a few calls regarding.
Okay, I lost Charlie. I lost your audio. I'm not sure why.
Okay, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Just barely. It's
Hear me now. What about now?
Nope. I mean, just barely. I got my volume all the way up too.
Okay, let me see here. Let me try to
Maybe
see.
it's maybe it's my hold on. Maybe it's my earphones. Try.
Okay, testing one two one
Oh,
two 1 2.
much better. Much better. Much better.
Well, I do want to say this, and as I was stating before, that I did get a lot of texts and a lot of emails. I got a few calls, and They tell me how am I doing. You got two good friends that are running for mayor. Well, what are you gonna do? Well, the answer is simple. Like I said before, once you give a commitment, you for the folks out there who know me and as well as my wife Stephanie, once we give a commitment, that's all we have. We have our word, and we don't go back on it. And like I told you, Mel, uh, I pledge my support for you, and that's how it's going to be for the Eonas. You know,
Well, thank
and
you.
those who may feel that, oh man, Charlie, what you doing? I says I can go to bed at night knowing comfortably that I made my decision. And like I said, when you have just your word, you gotta give 1,000% behind your word, whatever you do in life. And so that's what I'm gonna do.
Right on, Charlie. I appreciate that tremendously. It means a lot. And I've been getting a lot of phone calls, text messages,
Mm.
private messages, Facebook and Instagrams, and yeah, it's flattering. And I know it's not going to be an easy race. I think many have said uh, it's going to be an interesting race, and it is. It is. Both of myself and Bernard, I think both probably 40 years of service, community service, and yeah, it's gonna be interesting. Sam, yes, if obviously if Bernard and I run for mayor, then we'll lose two councilmen, and we also have two councilmen that are going to be terming out. Councilmember Kipukai Kuli and Councilmember Felicia Cowden is terming out. So yes, there's a possibility that there will be four vacancies on the council. So that also is on my mind as
Well,
well.
can I share a special news for our viewers tonight? I gotta. Well, I might as well let the cat out of the bag.
Yeah, why? Let's just let her rip tonight, man. Let's make this a
Yeah.
special show. And by the
So,
way, you guys got any questions? Drop them in the comments. I'm actually reading the comments. That's why my eyes go off the screen because I anticipate a bunch of questions. Go ahead, Charlie.
well, since there are gonna be some vacancies on the council, I've decided. It's time. I've decided. I'm not gonna run for council.
Oh, Charlie, you had me, man. You
Uh,
had me.
I think I told you in confidence why it would be difficult to do that. But again, but I
Uh,
know I know there's Kauai has a lot of good people, and I believe just by watching it over the years. You remember when we had that Super Six back in those years, that time.
mhm.
I got to see the political forum here on the islands, and I can see where everybody was at. And I would say that for the most part, 80% was all solid on both sides, those who won and those who didn't win. And the 20%, you could see that they were somewhat self-centered, and it came out in a lot of the debates. But for the most part, I truly believe that there are a lot of good candidates, and I think uh, we have a lot of good people. And I don't want the people of Kauai to worry at all. We just have to lend our support. Once you get council in there, and whoever makes it, good, bad, or indifferent, you need to support them. Now, if they start bringing up things that's so outlandish, right? It just doesn't make sense. The people will let their voices be heard for sure, for sure. So we shouldn't have anything to worry about.
Heidi, no, I cannot run for mayor without giving up the council seat. It's the same election year, so yeah, it's one or the other. So yeah, that's unfortunate. Let me just say, I love my job as a council member. I've been blessed to be the council chair for several terms. My colleagues have had enough confidence in me that they allow me to continue, and I love doing what I do. But if local government in our system, we have a strong mayor system, which means the council is purely legislative. So we can recommend, we can ask, we can fund, but at the end of the day, it takes the mayor's signature to make anything happen. So it's just a different level of service. So yes, Governor, Lieutenant Governor Tyson. He actually called us Governor, Lieutenant Governor when the Lieutenant Governor was on the show. By the way, mahalo to Lieutenant Governor Sylvia Luke. She was. I'm glad we had an opportunity to share the real Sylvia Luke with the people. I had numerous comments and texts about they were so happy that they got to see that side of her. But she is an amazing person, and I agree. She's actually going to be the governor sooner than later. There was another question here. Hold on here. Hold on here. Dougie Moises, aloha. Clayton Cataluna, aloha. Clayton made a very interesting and valid post on social media that never in the history of Kauai County government has a chair of a county council who won a mayor's election. Very good observation. Um, you know, there's always a first, right?
But do you know why? The chair has never made mayor.
Well, probably because the chair is always the lightning rod. It's always the lightning rod for the
No,
council.
no, no, not at all. The true meaning and the true reason why the chair has never made it is because you always need a sofa, and the sofa.
You are too much. Oh
Charlie,
man,
what have you been eating? What have you been drinking tonight? Come on, Charlie.
Tyson says I'll run for lieutenant mayor when you're running for mayor. Perfect. You can write yourself into the ballot. And my lovely wife, Patsy, again, she always does this. She this is for you, Charlie. She says, "Hi, handsome."
No, this is for you.
You
I
know,
look,
I,
I look like I've aged over the few months. With this camera that I got on, and I was like, but I not to switch the subject matter, but I want to give a shout out and thank you to the many people that have come up to me at the airport and have kind of take some of my advice on just be patient, and the lines have been going pretty smoothly at the airport. So I want to say thank you to the fine folks of Kauai. Always the
Raja.
best. Always the best.
Let's see. Yeah, I wanted to say, my wife. The politicians out there, to all the politicians, appointed officials, their families take a beating too. My wife has been at my side from my first run, which was unsuccessful back in 1998, and with me with every election at my side, being my advisor pretty much. And trust me, I get all all day long. I get advice from her, and so I just publicly say thank you, Patsy. I know it's not easy for you and for the kids, but they are equally as um, involved as the candidate themselves, and they feel all the brunch. They read the nasty posts, they read all of that stuff too, and it does take a lot. So Patsy, I know we don't thank you enough, but thank you, thank you, thank you,
Yes,
thank you,
thank you.
Patty Kawakami. I know you'll be a great mayor. I hope so. Um, we
You
can love
know,
Uncle Bernard and appreciate him at the same. Listen, Bernard has done an amazing job, and that's what makes this difficult. Um, because I do love him really like a brother, and it's just yeah, it's just how the chips fell this time. So yeah, Tammy Poo, let her rip. Let her rip, Tammy. I'm meeting with Tammy tomorrow, and we're gonna discuss some interesting stuff that I will not talk about tonight. But anyway, hold on. I'm just going, looking through all this. Oh my God, we got a lot of comments. Oh, here, will Mayor Kawakami run for governor? If anybody has the answer to that question, let me know.
yeah. Well, I do want to say this, and for the people out there, I never aspired to be a politician, but I always look for a politician with heart, and I gotta say that both you and Bernard, you folks have heart. It's when the politician starts to practice his craft or her craft, and then it becomes um, personal in the background, meaning it's serving themselves and not the people. Then we have problems. So I know with you both, but I know you better because of the years we've been doing this together. I know how much the people come first, and that's what I really admire about you. It's all about your constituents. You hear that a lot, and you say, well, talk is cheap, but I've seen it in progress. I've seen it in progress, and a lot of times, Mel, whether you realize it or not, and you're not going to admit it, you've actually done it by yourself. You haven't had a team go out with you. There's a couple times I went out with you, just you and I, right? And I've seen how you handled the talks, and that's what I mean. You don't have a big staff behind you doing it because I know you want to get in touch with your constituents, and that's good. That's good.
Yeah, I think Charlie, and thank you for those kind words. But yesterday we had a council meeting yesterday, and we had the very tenacious bill on farmers markets in county parks. And but anyway, I won't get into the details. Go watch it. It was it's fun to watch. But afterwards, when I was leaving the chambers, and there was a group of market people, farmers, and outside, and they were waiting, and they wanted to thank me. And one guy said, Brother Mel, I don't know, I'm so impressed at how smart you are. And I told him, it's not being smart. It's not that I was born with this high level intelligence. It is that I am so experienced. I have been on the council for so many years. I have been through so many bills, resolutions, charter amendments. We've been through so many issues on the council floor. The scenario just, while the specifics may change, the scenario is the same. So it's not that I'm I'm a super high IQ genius. It's that, like you said, Charlie, I do pay attention. I do my homework. I do go out in the community. I meet with the people that are impacted. So by the time we get to the council floor, I have a lot of information. And if you watch the council meeting that happened uh, last week, the same issue, it was at the committee meeting. I changed my position and my vote right on the floor because of the testimonies that we were receiving. Because I think that that is our job, is to collect the information, making sure we make right decisions. If you have an agenda, if you're connected to special interests, then it's very difficult to make right decisions because you're guided. So if there's anything I can say that I pride myself in, is my ability to be independent, my ability to be open-minded, and my willingness to change my mind on the fly if I get new information. And that is hard. I'm not saying this to brag, but that's hard to find in politicians because they fear it's a sign of weakness or you're wishy-washy. No, it's not, man. It's that you got new information that you didn't have when you had formed your initial opinion. So it's for me, it's just second nature. So I'm blessed in a sense, and that's kind of how I do my job. That's kind of how I do my job. What comes after elections will come perhaps policy changes affecting Kauai style. I mean, I think Charlie, you know this probably more than anybody except Patsy on this show tonight. My love for this island is ridiculous. It's real, and it got even more intense when my kids were basically forced to leave and not be able to come back home. So that is so changing policy changes. I think there's a list of things that needs to be done on this county in this county, and I think keeping the island culture, the island style, always at the forefront. We cannot help but make the right decisions. That's just my opinion. That's just my opinion.
Well, let me ask you. We talked about this subject before, and that is, how do we juggle the economic engine that keeps Hawaii Hawaii, and how do we keep the culture and the beauty of Hawaii Hawaii?
Yeah.
There, that's it's. We've seen when the economic engine was stifled during the pandemic, right? We
Hmm.
saw what it did. So that's a real dose of reality. What can happen, but
Yeah.
at the same,
No, go
but at
ahead.
the same token, if it's juggled right, like what the mayor did, like what Mayor Kawakami did, we were able to level off a lot of things that we thought we were gonna lose. right from the get go, right? And we're able to level it off. So it's for those that never really experienced the full effect on how the pandemic played. You can say it played how it played throughout Hawaii, but I'm talking about Kauai in general, you know, and just focusing on Kauai, what it did. A lot of places, took a hard hit, but with confidence. Because remember, I was one of the first ones shooting down Miyakawa coming from the get go. Like, what the hell are you doing? This and that. But like you said, I'm willing to admit my faults if I'm wrong. And he proved me wrong. And that's why I had to openly say, hey, I was wrong. Because all I thought was, you closing everything down, we're going to suffocate. But I guess he had and I'm not afraid to admit, he had a crystal ball and he saw something that I didn't see. So,
Yeah.
and it's the
Yeah.
same way I view you, Mel. There's a lot of things you see that I don't see. So, it's we can talk about a lot of things, but there's some things that comes with great complication. And having someone with your experience that have maneuvered and navigated through those tumultuous times, I think is an added advantage, really.
Yeah, I think one of the things, and this is not just for politicians, but for anybody. I don't care what line of work you're in. I don't care what industry you're in. Um, you 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 only know what you know. I always tell people, because the council gets blamed for everything, and that's a job I chose to take. But at the end of the day, the council doesn't know what the council doesn't know. If we are not informed or told about a specific issue or a problem, then we don't know. Uh, and we all, regardless, again, I don't care what industry you're in, Charlie, you know this as well. You could be a musician. Um, Ask if you have a question. Ask someone that has the answer, and never try to fool the people into believing that you know something that you don't, because it doesn't work. And a lot of people still do that. You just don't, man. It's okay to say, you know what, guy, I gotta go. I gotta go talk to somebody because I don't really know the answer. And I'm not ashamed to do that because I don't know everything. I wish I did.
Well, I just I admitted to everybody that I thought I was a musician, but I'm not. Because I have a recording behind me that makes it sound like I'm playing the bass.
You're such a liar. Like if I had a music question, thank you, Julie. We do need change. We do need change. In my opinion, if I had a musician question, I'd ask you, man. I'd ask you, Terry. I like meet you too because I have a few things to discuss as well. Oh, Terry, I got open door policy. You know that you have my cell number in your phone. Call me. People think we just work on Wednesdays. We show up, we vote, but you can ask Patsy. My calendar is like crazy, but I love meeting with people. I do. I do. Lana
Hey,
Hughes, remember Lana? Yay!
she's back.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, I got a ton of comments, man. This is crazy.
Hey, brother, I would like to say also, only on Kauai, when you don't see somebody for a long time, guess where you find them? I happened to find Tyson Moises, and we were talking story for a good bit because there was an unfortunate situation. Luckily, nobody got hurt, and it gridlocked the entire highway westbound. And he and I was on the two lanes before it verges into one, before the community college. And because we was in traffic so long, he put down his passenger window, I put down my driver's side window, and we had a conversation the whole time.
That's the coconut wireless right there, man. That's the
Right?
coconut wireless. If you are stuck in traffic, like how you were, you are two of the best people to be stuck next to. I mean, I would love to either one of you. Either one of you.
You know why? Because we get food with us all the time.
You gotta have the Snicker bar, man. Gotta hit the Snicker bar. Marie has a very good point. There will be a lot on. There will be a lot to do to protect Hawaii from all the cuts, Medicaid layoffs, and supply chain issues due to tariffs. Each island needs strong leaders. There's no cuts for Medicaid being proposed, but there are. I mean, the future is unknown, and there's no other way to put it other than it. These are times of uncertainty. But for Kauai, I can only speak for Kauai because Mayor Kawakami recognized that. And when I had my pre-budget meeting with the mayor, he asked me, if I could support putting money on the side because in our county, in our police department, prosecutor's office, transportation, elderly affairs, pretty much in all of our departments, we have positions that are funded by the federal government. Some of them are grant positions, some of them are just purely funded. So if those cuts came up, those positions would be lost. So the mayor asked me, and of course I agreed, and the council agreed ultimately in the budget that we would set aside money. So in the event on Kauai only, our federal funding gets cut for these positions or these programs, that the county would pick it up. Now it is taxpayer money, and but it is definitely something that the mayor and the council unanimously agreed. So for Kauai alone, I cannot speak for the other counties. I'm assuming they all did the same. I know the state did. The state's going to go into a special session in August, I believe, to look at, if they'll have a better indication of what the cuts will be. Yeah, so we won't feel any of the cuts because the county is going to pick up the tab. So I appreciate Mayor Kawakami having that foresight and that willingness to do that. What's up, Kaimana? Heidi, I cannot agree with you more. The long-standing community. Charlie, our most popular shows that we've ever done, including COVID, were the shows that we went down the history road, or what do you call it? The
Yeah.
what do you call
Memory
that?
lane.
Memory lane.
Memory lane. Yeah.
Those were the most popular, engaging, and that is because people yearn for that. And Heidi, I cannot agree with you more. And that's why I said earlier, we gotta keep that at the forefront when we make decisions. We cannot fall into the trap of listening to all these snake oil salesmen that come from the mainland that wants to sell us programs and services that are very attractive and promise to do all these things. Because you got to understand, Kauai especially, Hawaii in general, but more so for Kauai, we are different, and it has to be treated differently. So, aloha, Jane. What's up? What's up? What's up? I love these comments. Move around furniture, Uncle Mel Raposo. Shake things up. Another person yesterday after the meeting came up and said, I really misunderstood you. I always thought you was, I'm not going to repeat what he said, but I said, no, man, you just got to get to know me. You just got to get to know me. Yes, Melissa, we all love Mayor Kawakami. And that is the talk now. And I don't know, Charlie's very politically astute. I'm not sure what he knows or what he doesn't know, but I get asked this question almost every day. What is Derek going to do? Maybe we got to get Derek on the show, but I'm not going to speak for Derek. I do not know, and I'm not going to speak on it. But I think we all know in his interview he had with Civil Beat, I think it was, he did say that his ultimate aspiration is to be a governor, lieutenant governor. So it's going to be interesting because he terms out this next year. So what he does is still a mystery. If someone knows, please, you can text me privately. I won't say you told me. I'm dying to know, though. Yeah.
Well, since you brought up that subject,
Oh, please give us a leak.
well,
Please give us a leak.
I'll say this because there's been some new faces joining us, and I'll share with you some news. And for those who just joined us, no, I'm not running for election.
Honey, I love you, honey. Derek has been a good mayor and will be a good upcoming senator. Mel will be the next mayor because he's willing to put in the hard work. Thank you. That you that just makes me feel really good because thank you, honey. Oh, oh no. Hey, Charlie, you heard it first here. He is being backed by Ron Kochi and will run for senator. Okay. I love this show so much. I love this show so much. Tyson says, I say that about coaching all the time. You only know what you know. You can't teach something you've never been taught or learned. Bingo, Tyson. That is just so true. So true.
I think the same goes for, one time a veteran. I got to meet a veteran at the airport, and he came in from. I think he said he was from Maine. And nice man. And so I helped him and his wife. You could see they were struggling, kind of on the elderly side. And I said, "Let me put your bags into your rental car for you. Don't you worry, because hey, that's what we're there for, right? Share the Allah." And as he was about to leave, he asked me if I had served, and I said, "No, sir, I haven't. But I thank you for your dedication for my freedom." And I think what Tyson is saying is so true. I will never get into a debate with somebody who's been to war, and I haven't. The only war I've been in is an urban war, being a police officer that you and I face. But I've never been on the battlefield. And some, unfortunately, some have not returned home. But that's one thing I will never get into any discussion of, because I like to speak from experience and not from, you got some of these doctors, well, who call themselves doctors, but they're real good at watching YouTube and read a lot of books. You know, uh,
That's right.
unless you get the experience, that, that's not something that you want to go down.
Yeah, you remember during the COVID shows we did, Google University, YouTube University. We had a lot of experts, man. We had a lot of experts that got their degree from Google University. Charlie, it's so weird that I'm sure you get these too. Is you get the backlash from our shows.
Yeah.
I choose not to engage with those people only because we did what we did. We provided information that wasn't available. And Charlie, I'll tell you, man, that to me, that whole period of time that we did that, I don't think it's hard to imagine that we did that every night, 7 nights a week
Hmm.
for I believe almost 2 years. We have over 800 videos on the channel that we did collectively. And then it's like we weren't doing it for any other reason than to inform and educate. It was definitely not political. We brought a lot of people on, and
Well, Mel, we're still getting thanks. I mean, I can
yeah,
see
yeah,
it.
yeah,
We're
yeah.
still getting thanks. Thank you for filling that void during that period of time. And my response has always been, it was a pleasure, but I really did it because, when you lose a family member, it's not easy to rewind the clock and try to play it back because it came and gone. You got to look forward on how can you prevent it from happening to others. Now, there are going to be some that don't believe, we talked about it, right? The vaccine. Hey, I'm not going to force you to take it, but, think about your loved ones should something happen. That's all I'm saying. That's all
Yeah.
I'm saying.
I don't know if you saw that, Charlie, but
Mhm.
um, you've served our community just the same, and we honor you, Uncle. Just from Melissa.
Oh, thank you, sweetheart.
And
Yeah.
look at this. You both saved our state. I don't know if I'd go that far, but I know this. I know this. Look, and honey, I was just gonna say this. I lived for your COVID Facebook lives till today, and you do, Charlie. I know you know this.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you come across people all the time that you may not have never met, ever met personally face to face, but they remembered you from the show and they thanking you for doing
Mm-hmm.
that, and that is amazing. And there's many more of those than those that basically saying we were conspiracy theorists. But um, I don't ever want to do that again. I don't ever want to have that kind of pandemic or that kind of crisis or situation where we got to go online every night. But if that ever happened again, Charlie, we'd flip the switch right away. We would do it
Oh
again.
yeah.
We would
Oh yes.
definitely do it again.
When because at one point we were actually counting numbers when the reports were coming up, how many people was passing away, and it was getting, and a lot of it was, it started off in the state in the small numbers, then we went to the mainland, then when my brother passed away, we actually saw them putting those makeshift coffins in those makeshift graves, right? And it was rows, row after row after row. That I think that is what um, the reality that really sunk in. Like, hey, it's an avalanche, and if we don't pay attention to this avalanche, it's going to overcome us. And I told my family, my children, my grandchildren, do not let this thing take over you. You got to fight back. You got to get vaccinated, and I'm glad they did. I'm glad they did. You know, and my only thing was because Daddy loves you, Papa loves you. If you don't want to, I understand. But I hope and pray that if I get my wings first, I go before you folks, and I don't want you folks to go because of COVID. And I kept on telling that over and over again.
But listen, but if we do, I know Uncle Mel will protect Kauai from any pandemic with Uncle Charlie being by his side. Well, you know who my wingman would be. Yeah, but again, it just shows the value of the transparency and being able to what happens. The conspiracy theories start when people don't have information, and
Yeah,
then they start speculating, and then they start googling and YouTubing and finding information that not be accurate, and then on social media it spreads, right? And Mayor Kawakami, he did some bold things. I mean, while he was a hero at the time, remember, Charlie? People were saying, "Hey, we like borrow your mayor. We like swap mayors. Have him come to." Everybody was afraid, right? But Derek took the bold action. He shut down the county. He did put a curfew. He did all
no, we created the bubble. Created the
and
bubble.
the bubble. Well, that was as he started to ease up, right? Then we got the
Right.
bubble because the pressure to open up hotels. But anyway, all of that, and when no one talks about the fact that now he's getting backlash as well. You lock down, you lock down the community. You shut down the island. Well, no one talks about the amount of lives that were saved, potentially
Exactly.
saved. I had a friend call me yesterday, a couple of days ago, and said, "Oh, bro, you got to go talk to this guy," because I was talking to this guy about your mayoral run, and he said he will never ever vote for you because you shut down the county during COVID. And I'm thinking, okay, number one, during
I wasn't
COVID, Charlie, I wasn't on the council. I wasn't the mayor. I had a show with Charlie Iona, and if our show had that much impact, wow, I had nothing to do with it. But that is, again, right, the conspiracy theorists. He say, yeah, Mel and Charlie shut down the county. Oh my God, I wish we had that kind of
brother.
power.
This is the word you need to learn if you should ever face a conversation like that again. All you have to say is one word. Next.
I mean, I stand by what we did. I stand by what we did.
Yeah.
We shared the information that was available, the factual information, not
Exactly.
yeah.
But bringing in like uh, what, what's our friend from the doctor from Arizona,
Um, um,
Mukhtar?
um,
We I
yeah.
can't. Yeah,
Um, oh my God.
he was one of those first ones on MSNBC. Then we brought over Jerome Kim,
Mhm.
and then of course we had the then I believe he was well now Governor Josh Green. He came on several times. Then Dr. Dworkin, and the list went on and on and on. So basically, we had a panel that had front. If it was in a battle zone, they were the ones fighting the war because they were boots on the ground fighting it. So I can say that we had some very very good guests on the show. Very good
Dr.
guests.
Altenberg, remember?
Yes.
My goodness. Hey, still till today, he contacts Charlie and I on a regular basis, man. It's so cool.
Yes.
Kaimana, yeah, Kaimana, bro. I appreciate you jumping on, Kaimana.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got to bring some of these old guys back. No, just don't be a doodle boy and give them a shirt. Yeah.
Hey, that's right. We were kind of like one of the first to be brave and made up names like Doodle Boy.
Doodle boy was the mayor. That one, whoo. That was like,
Yeah.
don't be a doodle boy. And then Kirk Correa said, hey, let's make a shirt. Let's
Yeah.
make a shirt.
Yeah.
And he did. And we sold a lot of those shirts for charity. Um,
Well,
and then
the
and then
community
Tina
foundation.
Yamake, remember Tina Yamake,
Hmm.
the
Very
executive
generous.
director of the Small Business Association or whatever in Oahu.
Yep.
She used the word okole puka,
Hmm.
and Kirk said, "Let's make a shirt." We sold a ton of those shirts. Yeah, we had
Yes.
some fun, man. We had some fun. You both built the whole village, even did lives about supporting local business. Yeah, I mean, I still want to go back and do that again. I think that was fun.
Yep.
Just said, and and again, not to toot anybody's horn, but Gina's in Waimea when we did the show with Gina. The next day, she sold out. She had to close early. She ran out of food. Um, yeah, we did it good. We did it. We had fun, man. We had fun.
Yeah, we went all
Uh,
over. Went all over.
yeah,
But
Tyson, you were the model for you were the model for the Doodle Boy shirts on the web page that we had set up. I don't know if you remember that. Halloween. Oh, I don't. Charlie, you remember doing Halloween?
we had a Halloween on your.
Did we do a Halloween show?
Yeah, we did.
What the heck did we? I don't remember. Help me. That's the PTSD, man. That was,
Well, you, me, both. That's why if we together, we get PTSD together.
Melissa, what did we do for Halloween? I don't remember. I don't. Halloween show. I honestly don't remember. Um,
But
oh, the Halloween contest.
yeah.
Yes. Okay, that I remember. Yes, we did. That was cool. That was cool.
But you remember, every talk show that they've always had a tagline or music that brought the guests in and brought the guests out. And if we was going to flatten the curve, we played flat.
You know what was the best part of all of that, Charlie, is when we did it without the guests knowing, and they were like freaking out because Charlie would always start it with the nice strum, and you think, oh, these two guys gonna sing, and then we just lit it up. We just lit it up. We just lit it up.
Two knuckleheads just having fun. Oh my
Uh,
goodness. Yeah.
yeah, no, Tyson, I remember. I remember. I remember. Now I do. I do. I wasn't thinking contest. I was thinking a Halloween show. But yeah, no, I remember. I remember having the Halloween contest, and
Yeah.
the families would duke them up, and I mean, we did some crazy stuff, man. Damn,
Hmm.
we did some. Chris Wong, aloha, brother, aloha, man. I tell you, man, I see some friends that I haven't seen for so long, and they pop on, and yeah, awesome stuff. Yeah, if you guys got any topics you like talk about, so the Coconut Wireless now is just about we can talk about everything, because that's what makes it fun. Yeah, Chris, you got it, buddy. You got it. I get so many outer island, neighbor island friends that support me, and I wish they need to come Kauai vote. They need to come Kauai for a short 1 year, just vote.
Hey,
Oh,
brother,
Prevagen,
you know,
Prevagen. You know the side effects? I don't know, but anyway, I'll go try them. Prevagen. Patsy, go buy Prevagen.
one thing that we have going tonight is we're kind of walking down memory lane a little, and which is good, keeping it light. But there's been some concern, basically what's happening now, and people are a little afraid, and all I can say is please don't be afraid because Uncle Charlie, for those who've been following me on Facebook, you know that I could stand for. There's a lot of controversial topics that come up, but I always talk about the process. If the process is done right, you shouldn't have any problems. But as we can see, sometimes the process is a little skewed, and so they will do things, or the government will do things to fit the narrative, and that's what becomes dangerous. So, please, I don't want anybody to be afraid. Nothing to worry about. Just as long that you know what your rights are and you just stand firm because you didn't do nothing wrong. And I just cannot stand when you're made to think that you're a bad person or you did something wrong and you never do nothing wrong. And then for the rest of your life, you're over there thinking, what the hell did I do to deserve this? Didn't do nothing. Right now, we just have some very interesting times right
Yeah,
now. That's it. It's interesting.
Look who's on, Charlie. Look who's on.
Dr. D. Workin. Yes.
Man, you got to get your Okole to Kauai, man. You got to get your Okole to Kauai, and we'll definitely have that beer.
Good to see you, Dr. D. It's always
Yeah,
good to see
we got to get you on, bro. We got to get you on. We just talk stories like old times.
you.
Yeah, I tell people all the time. I said, we control, or we should be concerned about what we can control. There's so many moving parts right now in the world, in the country, and yet we all here on this little island, doing what we got to do to take care of our families, and there's always these threats of the uncertainty, the uncertainty. So guys, I don't like go all Christian on you guys, but man, I put it in God's hands. Just I focus on the things that I can do to make this place better. I really do, because if you start getting into all of that, man, my head spins. Whenever I get a little short session of the news, my head starts spinning, and then the investigator in me like go look into him. Charlie does a great job with that, and Charlie's a great investigator. Um, but yeah, I just we get so much issues just locally on Kauai, and this external issues, these external threats that we face every day doesn't make it any easier. But we just got to focus on what we can do to make this place a better place. Come on, don't worry, man. When I get the signs, let me just be very clear. It's so early. It's so early. I told Bernard yesterday, thanks for announcing early, because it's very hard to when you announce your candidacy and you start your campaign. It's very hard to sustain momentum for a long period of time. So yeah, we
We're
we
gonna
have
do it.
fun. We have fun. Bernard and I are
Yeah.
having so much fun. Yesterday I told him, "Hey Bernard, sorry, but I cannot make it to your event, tonight." Yeah, we're best buds. It's going to be an interesting campaign. It's going to be, it's going to be a clean campaign. It's going to be really two individuals that love and care for this island a whole lot. That's got can't say the word, but a ton of experience at different levels. And it's just going to come down to who resonates with the people, who's able to get their message across in the right way, and who has a track record of doing what they say they're going to do. That's why I never make promises. I don't make promises. My only commitment to people is that I'll be open and transparent and engaging. When I came back on a council after my 4-year break, and I was again fortunate enough to become the chair. My only directive to the council members was, we're going to be focusing on the local people. That's not being racist. That's not being anything other than we need to take care of local people. And we started focusing. We had a good council too. I mean, even this council and the last council both. I really appreciate our the people on the council this term and last, and that there were very independent thinkers that were able to decipher through all the nonsense and come up with ideas and suggestions that could help the local people. And we did that. Billy DeCosta and I, we did the bill to allow ADUs on agriculture lands. It wasn't allowed, and I couldn't see how our local people being told, no, you cannot build a 800 square foot house in the back of on your ag lot where your kids could stay or your parents could stay. 800 square feet, that's a nice house. The house that I'm in right now is 720 square feet. That's a 3-bedroom, 1-bath. So with 800 square feet, I could do a 2-bedroom, 2-bath. I could even do a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. But not allowing our local families that's been living on their ag properties forever, not allowing them to build a second home on there, but yet all these rich millionaires and billionaires coming in and buying up real estate like it was nobody's business. That's just not fair. That was just one example of the things we did. We raised the TVR tax, hotel resort tax. That was very unpopular. I mean, that was, man, I got some very ugly emails and phone calls from the visitor industry because they didn't understand that the reason why we did that was to generate revenue from the visitor industry that was going to be earmarked for development of houses for the middle income people, the working class. The affordable housing, we have a lot of federal aid, we got a lot of monies for that, and we're doing a great job. But there's nothing for the people that are working, the police, the firemen, the nurses, the school teachers. There's just nothing available. So once the visitor, and this is my respect for the visitor industry grew even more when once they found out that that was the purpose of the increase and that was the purpose of the funds and it was directly going to be used for that. They were very, very, very supportive. The HLTA, Samira, and all of them were very okay with because that was their contribution to the housing crisis. But that's the mindset. The mindset. I just saw Ed McDowell. He's a realtor. I think he's retired now. But the 800 square foot guest house, new build, first real solution. That was council driven. That wasn't administrative driven. But those are the kinds of things we got to focus on. Is what we can we do, and I'm going to say it. That would be the same emphasis I would put on this county if I was the mayor. Local first, Kauai resident first. I love our visitors. Don't get me wrong. I love the visitors, and we need the visitor industry. But on the other side of that coin, they got to be willing to be contributors to our island as well, and they are. The vast majority are definitely are doing that. So I respect them, and we need them. What I really want to see, Charlie, and to all of viewers out there, what I really want to see. Oh, hold on. Tyson has breaking news. Okay, Tyson is he's announced his formal candidacy to mayor. So we have 3 people running now. Thank you, Tyson. Awesome. Um,
Thank you, Tyson.
you just made it even more interesting. But that's kind of the mindset we got to have. Is that we need to really expand our ag programs. Getting more farmers in the dirt. But there's just a lot of things that we can do better, and that's my commitment is working towards that goal, and that's kind of where it is right now. Then this here, right here, Nina. There's a commercial on TV, and I think it's First Hawaiian Bank, and there's a grandma and a grandpa sitting outside, and I think grandma tells the husband, "Man, I wish we could have them come move back home," and grandpa says, or papa says, "Hey, you think we should build a house in the back?" And they go to First Hawaiian Bank, they get the loan, they build a house, and the next scene is their kids are home with their grandchildren, and I wish it was that easy. I wish it was that easy, but that is the mindset we have to have. That when we do things here, when we make decisions, it's not decisions for today. It's not decisions for tomorrow. It's decisions for your kids and your grandkids. So you don't have to witness them getting on a plane and leaving to a foreign land because they have to. That is, it just breaks my heart. I'll be honest with you, man. I hope I don't cry when I say this, but my daughter sent us a video. She sends us a lot of pictures. We do the FaceTime with the grandkids. So they just bought their first house. They were living in Austin. They now live in Houston, Charlie. They just bought a house in Hockley, Texas, which is about 20 minutes, 30 minutes outside of Houston. And they just bought a home, and it's a 2,900 square foot home, 4 bedrooms, 3 baths, 3.5 baths, and an office. $440,000, brand new. The 3 bedroom, 2 bath, 1,700 square foot home. In that, it's a master plan community. $285,000, brand new. And so anyway, we get the videos, and our oldest grandson Jahari, when they moved, they got rid of the crib, and they have the bed. It's called a Montessori bed. I don't know what that is, but it's a bed that is on the. And tonight they sent the video of Jacob, my daughter's boyfriend, walking Jahari into his little bed. opening the door, gives them a high five or knuckles, and then he walks in and he just puts his head down on a pillow and he goes to sleep. And I'm like, why can't they be doing that here in Hawaii? Why can't why? And that is the mindset that I have is what can we do? We don't control the market. We don't control real estate. We don't control home sales. But we got to be able to make it affordable here so that our kids can choose to stay and not be forced to leave.
I did want to say
I'm
one
not
thing.
sure. Pico. Bernard and Mel drop out now. Not sure what that means, but I thought that was cute.
One thing I did want to say that I still find that there's real no answers too, and that is we're finding so much businesses closing, shutting down, and so that's part of the infrastructure, right? It's part of the infrastructure that you've got these businesses closing. What do you do? And
Yeah.
so that's the thing that we got to look. How can we be more inviting? I mean, something as simple as Ishihara's on the west side, a landmark for years. Since I moved to Kauai, that was a landmark. Once they left, it became very difficult. But you know what, folks? Believe it or not, there's this place called the Waimea Shell Service Station. And if you didn't know, they get hot food, they get pateles, and they restock their pateles every Thursday. So if you and they open 24 hours a day. So for us musicians coming back to Waimea at 11, 12 o'clock at night, they get hot rice, they get pateles, so no need to go home and cook. It's stuff like that that if you don't know about, let the world know. Support that place. But again, when Ishihara closed, it was like everybody was wondering what are we gonna do next because that was our staple for raw food, bentos, a fast pick me up. Everything was available. Now it's not there anymore. So I think yes, I want the keikis of all of our families to move back to Hawaii. But we have to make sure that we get some infrastructure in place so it can support everyone. Support everyone. I think we gotta find that magic answer. What that answer is, Mel. That's why I'm not running for office because I don't know that.
Pico, thank you for clarifying, man. I thought you was a troll. I thought you was a troll. But if Tyson if Tyson pulled his papers to run for mayor, I would support him. I would.
You
I
saw
would.
what Tyson wrote there. He said you get three Portuguese mayor candidates and you put them in one debate. Whoo, boy, gonna be rough.
The debate gonna be 2 weeks long. See, my sister just said Dustin's friend in Iowa just purchased a 5 bedroom, 2 bath, 2 car garage with a warehouse like 212,000. I just don't get it. 5 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. Whoo, it's rough. But yeah, it's just that's just how it is. But of course, it's Texas, it's Iowa, it's not Hawaii. Um, we just got to do better at the county level, the state level, the federal level.
But
So
you gotta let them know too. If you purchase a 2 bedroom, right? You don't cut them in half and make it a 4 bedroom. A 2 bedroom stays a 2 bedroom. But yes, you hear about these prices. I mean, a lot of people are migrating over to Texas. They're moving over to that side of the states. Before it used to be everything was Vegas, 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 Vegas. Not anymore.
yeah,
Not anymore.
and to be fair, because I think it's important to know that in Hockley, Texas, in that county, the property taxes are ridiculously high. So they're going to be paying about 12 or 13 grand a year in property taxes. They don't have income taxes, so your paycheck there's no state tax taken out. But yeah, it's so pros and cons.
Yes.
But my daughter. Oh, by the way, I did turn in my truck, and I did get the Honda passport, Charlie. I got a Honda passport now, man. I got it. Yeah. So my daughter has the same car. She fills up her tank in Texas. She pays $36. I pay 88. So that's just another benefit of living up there. Anyway, guys, we're at 8 o'clock. I don't like take you guys beyond that. I know you guys got a lot of other things to do. I do appreciate you guys jumping on tonight. I did want to because it was all over the news last night and in fact tonight, and it was all over the place. I just wanted to share a little bit about what's going on here on Kauai. And yes, Bernard Cavallo has made his formal announcement. I have not made a formal announcement because there's a strategy, but my intention is to run. I'm planning. At this point, I'm running for mayor. It's going to be a fun race with me and Bernard. It's like watching two football teams that you like play against each other, and I know again, and I apologize up front that it's going to put a lot of people in an awkward situation because they're friends of both of us, and I apologize for that. But at the end of the day, I'm hoping that our message will convince the people that you know we're a good fit for Kauai, and I'd love to serve this place for the next 4 years. At that point, so Charlie, I really appreciate you and your kind words, man, and your vote of confidence.
Well, like I said, at the end of the day, all I have is my word, and I take pride on that. And I'll go to my grave with it. And whatever I say, I will do. And you have my undying support, my brother. I do want to say one thing to the folks out there. Thank you so much. It's never easy. Sometimes we come on this show, we get emotional. But looking at all the names, especially seeing Lana Hughes and as well as Dr. Dworkin, it just brings back some trying times, but some good memories. Some good memories. And so, you know, some people have asked, get Dr. Dworkin on. I think it will be a good time to get him on. Um, and it will be a good time to even bring on even Mufi Hanneman to talk about the tourism and how we can balance destination management. I know that's been a hot button topic, but you're right. The folks out there, I'm going to say you're right. If we want to embrace tourism, we have to make sure that they understand that when they're done vacationing, they're going to leave. So you got to leave Hawaii intact for us to continue to enjoy. Because why? We're going to be here. We're not moving. So it's like if I was to go and visit someplace in California, I want to make sure that I leave that place as pristine as possible as I found it. So when I leave, you folks are there. You folks will be happy that I came to visit, and you'll be welcoming me back again when I do make my run back there. So I just wanted to put it out there that thank you all so much. And we got a lot to talk about tonight. A lot of it was going down a slight memory lane in what we said, and I know that we'll have many more shows that will get in depth. And we hope and pray that you join us, that you can start sharing maybe something that we don't know. Because both Mel and I, we're not saying that we know everything. We know some things, but not a lot. That everyone can contribute to get that puzzle solved, and that's what we're aiming for. So with that said, I love you all. Thank you, Brother Mel. Thank you for having me on again.
All right, man. Again, thank you for the kind words, the vote of confidence. Appreciate all of you for the kind words. I was supposed to do a, a, a little house rules up front, because these types of shows where you're talking about politics can get edgy. I appreciate the respect that everybody had tonight, and the again the vote of confidence. I love this island. I think more than anybody knows, and I just want to do what's best, and that is my plan. So appreciate you guys. Thanks for joining us tonight. We'll see you guys next week. Until then, we love you all. God bless. Hui ho. Let me find the right button. Boom.